Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.wordpress.com, back again here with another Sunday scoring project, and this time it's to make a pop-up diamond card. So that's how the card is when it goes in the envelope, and you open it up and then it stands on its end like so. So obviously that's the effect that you get. There's quite a few of these around, but I've done my own version, made a few modifications. First of all, I've made this one made from A4 cardstock rather than 12 by 12. Not everybody has the ability to store 12 by 12 or has 12 by 12. So I thought if I made it from A4, I don't think it detracts from the card when it's standing up. And actually, I rather like the overhang of the diamond on the front when it's folded flat as well. On the back, I've also added a panel here for you to write your who it's to and from, write your sentiment as well. Again, it can be difficult on these, and they're only little narrow panels. I felt that it needed something a little bit bigger, and it also fitted the sentiment, which is part of this stamp set. So the stamp set I've used is this Special Reason one here, and it's got some very useful ones. Yeah, there's no special reason for this card except to let you know how special you are, and I thought that was very appropriate in the case I was making a card for. So that's the stamp set I'm using, and I've also used the Stylish Stems Framelits, which has got these lovely flowers, and you can either use the inside die, which cuts out just the pattern there, and I've put some DSP behind it, or you can stamp the flower, which is in the Special Reason set, and then die cut around the edge rather than fussy cutting. And then you've got these pretty leaves, that's the stamp and die cut, or you've got a die cut detailed one just there, which hopefully you can see. Okay, so that's what we're making. That one I did in Island Indigo and Mint Macaron. You can see here it picks up the Mint Macaron in the cardstock and the Island Indigo. And then I've used some Sweet Sugar Plum, in fact, on the front there. And so I thought we'd actually use some Rich Razzleberry to go with the other Blooms and Bliss, which is this designer series paper here, and that's what we're going to use for our card. So I'll be making mine in centimetres, but as I go along I will give you the dimensions in inches, and as always I will put the dimensions on my blog so that you've actually got them down in both centimetres and inches. So to start off with, then you need a piece of A4 card which you're going to cut to 10 centimetres by 28 centimetres, and then you're going to do your scoring first, and that is 4 by 11 inches. So you're going to score at 4 centimetres, 9, 19 and 24, and that's 1.5, 3.5, 7.5 and 9.5. And then you're going to mark the midpoint on both the top and the bottom with just a little notch there. And then you're going to score your diagonals. So from this midpoint here to this bottom of this second score line, you're going to score diagonally. So just line up those two scores in the track and then score. Turn it and do the same, so from the top of that second score line to the bottom at the middle, and then repeat on the other side. So again, that's the first score line we did to the middle. Let's make sure they're lined up, and then repeat again. So from the middle to the bottom, and that will give you your card base. So hopefully you can see the score lines on that. With the light you should see those reflecting. And so now you need to just fold and burnish all of the score lines in the direction that you made them. So because you've scored, you've actually stretched this cardstock a little bit, so that's the direction to fold it in first, and then you can fold it in reverse for some of the creases afterwards. So just score and use your bone folder just to reinforce those creases. Particularly important for these kind of springy cards that you get really good creases so that they do fold flat. So the ones that are going to, we've done at the moment mountain folds, which is the ones that go up. We want to turn these into valley folds. So you're going to actually valley fold all of the vertical lines. So just fold it back on itself, and then as you push it together you should find that just literally just squashes in like so. that is most of the cutting and scoring that you are going to be doing, other than cutting your panel pieces. So that's the tricky bit. So on now with the decoration. So to decorate the middle, I thought I would use some Blushing Bride cardstock, and I've cut that to 6.5 by 6.5, and I'm going to put on the top of that a piece of Whisper. Oh, 6.5 by 6.5 is 2.5 by 2.5 inches. And then I've taken a piece of my cardstock, which is 6 by 6 centimetres, so 2.25 by 2.25, and I've die cut that flower shape in the middle there, and I'm going to pop that up on some dimensionals to give that some, strange enough, some dimension. So I'm just going to pop one up in each corner, and then I'm going to layer the other flowers on top of that. So on the other card that I made, I actually put a piece of DSP behind, you can see there. And the reason for that is I didn't really want a green flower in the middle, so I literally just cut a small piece and stuck it behind. But obviously on this we've got pink at the back, so I think that's going to work well in terms of our flower. So that's done that like so. And then I've got two more flowers which I have stamped here. Which is Rich Razzleberry and Sweet Sugar Plum. So with those I'm going to put one dimension on the outside of the darker flower, which I'm going to pop just like so. And then I'm going to put a dimensional on the other one, and I'm just going to overlap that very slightly. So when our sentiment goes on the bottom, it gives us a bit of dimension. And then I've die cut a leaf, and I've also stamped and die cut some leaves. So all you need is a tiny bit of glue on the back of those. And I'm just using the fine tip glue here. Things often look better in odd numbers, so I've got sort of 3 leaves, but I'm varying them a little bit. So with this one, you're just going to literally just dot some glue. As you know, I often use a sponge and some Tombow for these delicate die cuts these days, but it's not worth getting it out for just a tiny little leaf like that. That's providing you don't smudge that one and move it. Okay. And again, pop a leaf. Just coming out there. So that just adds your dimension. And then I've then used the stitched framelits to die cut an oval, and the reason I've done it this way is because I struggle, even with a magnetic plate, to actually get that absolutely spot on in the centre when I'm die cutting it. So I do find on some of these it's easier to actually die cut the shape, and then if I just stand over it and line it up, there we go, and I just find for me that works much better in terms of getting a getting a decent centered image. So all I've done is again pop a dimensional on the back there, and then that can just go on the front there. And what I actually did was just slot that underneath. So you've kind of got the sentiment, it's part of it, the flower is becoming part of the overall effect. Then all you can do then is I just decided it needed a little bit of something extra to add a bit of sparkle and shine. So all I've used here are our lovely basic jewels. I'm just using just very small ones. Just pop those, just one on either end if I can manage to do it without picking 2 up at the same time. You can tell why I don't use jewels on cards on videos very often. They don't like me. And just to show you, this is how I store my sort of jewels and pearls. They're just in one of our wide Stampin' Up cases, and I just find it's a really good way. I can easily see what I've got if I need to buy any more. And they just sit in there, and they're nice and tidy and flat, and I can see them on my shelf with all my stamps. So that's the front of the card. What you're now going to do is decorate the side panels, and to do that I've taken some pieces of card, which are 3.5 by 9.5. That's 1 1/4 by 3 3/4, and I've layered a piece of DSP onto the top of that, which is 3 by 9, so that's 1 by 3.5 inches. So those just stick straight down onto the sides there. And then we're going to need 2 pieces of DSP to make these triangular shapes. So you're going to need 2 pieces of DSP which are 6 by 6 centimetres, and so you just need to cut those diagonally. So I'll move that out of the way. And again, the useful thing with this is you can just line that up with the track. So as long as you hold it firmly, make sure that's nice and centred, and cut diagonally, and then to cut in half, just cut in half again. And when I put them to one side, I do tend to put them together the way I've cut them, so they I can try and match up the pattern when it goes onto the DSP. So the same again with another square. So 6 by 6 is 2.5 by 2.5, if I haven't said that already. So here we go. I've had one of those days today where the joy of the bathroom continues. So we had a leak this morning in my nice new bathroom, so I had to wait for the plumber, bathroom fitter, to come in, which he did, and I have to say it was fantastic. He came in and sorted it all out, but as a result I lost my time this morning that I was going to use for filming. And then I have to say I had another lovely afternoon with one of my super Stampin' Up mates, and so we had a really nice time, but again we spent rather too long nattering instead of me getting on with what I should have been doing. But hey, you know, there we go. So having cut those into triangles, it's a simple case of layering, sticking those in place. So obviously take as much time as you need. You might want to use some wet glue if you prefer to have a little bit more wiggle room. I'm just using some tape, my snail here, for speed. Okay, and there we go. So you can see I've matched those up where they've actually cut across, and I'm going to do the same over here. So we just try not to get the dimensionals backing in the way. There we go. I love this Blooms and Bliss paper. I think it is so pretty. It's that I've used on a number of projects, and I have to say it was one of those that I don't use a lot of DSP. I tend to sort of stamp quite a bit, but this was one where I actually bought a second pack, because I thought, you know what, it is such pretty paper that I can see me using it for all sorts of cards, you know, even if I don't use it for demonstrating, but for my personal use. So I made sure I bought some. So that's how your piece will look after you've decorated it on the front. Now we're going to work on the reverse. So the first thing we're going to do is put our panel of card to the side here. I'm going to use my fuse to do that. So when you adhere your cardstock, what I suggest you do is just put the glue on the card base, so you know you haven't gone over the middle line, and then you're just going to, I find it easier to turn it and line it up like so. Okay, so that's then our card base, and that piece of card is 8 by 10 centimetres, which is 3 by 4 inches, and then just 7.5 by 7.5 for your next layer, which is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then before we stick the next layer on, I'm going to stamp it. And so you take a layer which is 7 by 9 centimetres, and then I'm going to use the Sweet Sugar Plum ink, because it's just that nice shade lighter. It's this pretty shade we've got here. that is a lovely colour. And I'm just going to stamp that in the bottom corner and in the top corner. Oh, I must have stamped off when I did it last time. It's a juicy ink pad. But I'm going to use the Rich Raspberry ink pad to actually stamp the sentiment, as I want to have a little bit of difference in there. So I'm just going to come in. Yeah, and managed to get that nice and wonky. Okay, how special I am. Yes, I think that's some special stamping there, especially wonky. But still, do you know what? I'm sure the recipient won't mind. So once that's dry, another little bit of glue on the back there. Pop your layer on. And there you have a quick fancy fold card that is just perfect to pop in an envelope. You'll probably want to pop it in a slightly larger envelope to take up the depth, or make yourself a custom envelope using the envelope punch board. I will try and put the measurements on to make one to accommodate the depth of that, because we have got quite a few layers of card and things in there. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope this series is helping you make some slightly more interesting and intricate cards for your friends, and to hopefully make it seem fairly straightforward to do. I make mistakes, you've seen me make mistakes, but actually that's what it's all about. You know, part of crafting is actually making a mistake and not worrying about it. So I hope that's helping you do that. I'll be back again in a week's time with another Sunday scoring project, and in the meantime there's always Ferrero Friday and Celebration Wednesday to have a look at. Do come back and see me again soon, and if you need any of the products that I've demonstrated today, please go to my online shop. Now is a great time to buy with the celebration goodies, and also a great time to join. So if you want to join my team of Flutterbuys, I'd love to have you on board. Just give me a call. Bye for now. See you again soon.